In this age, it is easy to lose sight of what we have. Family, freedom, peace. 40 years ago, the world, this place, were very different. Not a day passes when I do not think of that time, when I'm not thankful that I am still here. Thankful for them. Why did we fight? We fought so they would not have to. So they would never have to live through the horrors we faced. After capturing Sicily, the Allies prepared to assault mainland Italy. While the Nazis strengthened their defenses in the south, we partisans fought to weaken them and hasten the end of fascist control of our homeland. The town of Pazzano was under attack. We fought to hold the Nazis back and to buy time for my partisan comrades to capture one of their artillery pieces. I needed a rifle. And bullets, too. I moved to the window. The town was already burning. I took a few moments to test the weapon and my aim. Although it seemed hopeless, Dante led from the front, rallying us to hold the walls. I had to get to Dante and help him. Before I could reach him, Dante was gone. I would mourn later, but first, I had an enemy to kill. Our leader, my friend, had given his life begging the Allies to send help. We didn't know if it was coming, but for his sake, we hoped and we fought on. The tanks had arrived and we had nothing that could stop them. Our comrades had to capture that artillery gun. They had done it. The captured artillery destroyed the tank and bought us another chance. The Nazi attack had been a reprisal for the death of a senior German officer. The kill ordered by Dante, the fatal bullet fired by me. The Germans knew we were responsible, and they struck back without mercy, killing partisans and villagers alike. It was a slaughter. With Dante's death, we'd lost our leader. It would have been easy for us to give up, to lose hope. Instead, we strengthened our resolve. We would need it for what was still to come. Dante and his partisans needed an isolated place to hide out and train, and my father wanted to help. Our home became the headquarters for the local resistance. This is where my father taught me to shoot. He would stay here for hours, making me practice with his Carcano M91, a relic from the Great War, critiquing every shot. I drew on the hours I had spent with Father's rifle. I knew where each shot would land before I even pulled the trigger. An ugly weapon, but effective. Speed of thought and action. The shot became natural, like throwing a stone. I trained at every opportunity, pushing myself to perfect my skills. I had to improve with the pistol. It had advantages over the rifle in close quarters. I began to feel at one with the weapon. I soon lost count of the hours I spent at those ranges. My comrades' lives might depend on me hitting my target. These weapons could be devastating if controlled properly. Precision mattered less than speed. In the early days, we had to make do with what we had, doing our best to pick the right tool for the job. We often had to gather what weapons and supplies we could from the battlefield, slowly improving our arsenal. Over time, the repetition of training helped me to separate the shots from the lives I took. In the moments before his death, Dante had made contact with the Allies and begged them for help. We could only keep fighting, hope that they heard, and pray they would be here in time. The artillery had loosened the Nazis' grip and we pushed forward. From the tower, I could slow the enemy, but we would need help from above to stop them. Father had taken charge of the unit, but he was no leader. As the enemy closed in on us, I knew only I could save my comrades from being overrun. Dante's pleas had worked. The Allies had sent a bomber to try to cut off the enemy. It wasn't much, but if it could destroy the bridges, it might be enough. Father had to fall back. The area was too overrun, and it was up to me to hold off before the bomber arrived. Even in the face of our own deaths, the bravery of that crew inspired us. Other damaged. We had a chance and had to take it. The Allies had bought us another lungful of air, but with only one bridge down, the fascists would regroup and try again. I had to find a way to bring that rail bridge down. I had to find a way to finish the bomber's work and destroy that rail bridge. Hesitation would only give the fascists more time to recover. I was no longer the unseen killer. Vulnerable, isolated. Every step I took towards that bridge felt like 50. The station would be heavily guarded. I would need to stay behind cover or risk certain death. I could already hear the Germans crossing. I had to find a way to destroy the bridge before they reached me. I needed to get into the warehouse. I could approach from the roof. If I kept low and moved quietly, I might be able to take out some of the guards without being noticed.
Leise, wenn ich bitten darf!
It was as though something had taken over me that night. My focus only on reaching the bridge and saving my comrades. The convoy was fast approaching. If I didn't blow the bridge now, they would make it over and all hope would be lost. The damaged bridge fell and the town was saved. Dante's death was not in vain. That night, we had struck a great blow against the Wehrmacht, but even more dangerous challenges awaited us. With our resources limited, stealing from the enemy was our only way to survive. A few weeks before Dante's death, he had sent us to a German fuel depot not far from Pazzano. I volunteered to lead the raid. This was anything but the light resistance our scouts had predicted, but I thought I was invincible, so I pressed my attack. I pushed further into the base. There was no turning back now. With the valves open, we could help ourselves to the fuel. The fear would come later, but at that moment, I felt I was winning the war single-handedly. But our victory had only been proof of our naivety. As we would soon discover, the German response would come far more swiftly than any of us had anticipated. Word of the fuel depot's capture quickly reached German command, and before we knew it, the enemy had mobilized a counterattack. As the Axis column snaked towards us, Dante knew we had to work fast. He ordered us to take whatever fuel we could carry and evacuate. Kept coming, but with my friends' lives in my hands, I was remorseless. Our lack of resources had forced us to make dangerous treks across the mountains by night, using donkeys to move supplies. This fuel would be our lifeblood, but only if I could buy my friends the time they needed. Wehrmacht came like an endless tide, crashing against the base with ever greater ferocity. A respite in the attack forced our hand. We had to escape with what we had. Our gamble paid off. The captured fuel would help bring vital supplies into Calabria, food, medicine, and ammunition that allowed us to keep fighting. As trust between the Allies and partisans grew, we began to coordinate our efforts. They had brought down a plane in the mountains nearby and wanted our help to recover its cargo. Nazi scouts got there first. I had to eliminate them before they could send a warning. The Allies knew that the Germans would beat them to the crash site. We had just minutes to lay an ambush and hold them off. I was curious about the cargo on that plane, but I had no time to think about it. The fascists were coming. Defeated and in disarray, the enemy fell back. We'd won, repaying the Allies for their help at Pazzano. We had sent a message to the Wehrmacht and given ourselves belief that we could strike a blow against the might of our enemy. Even before the revolution, partisan cells had formed across Italy to oppose the fascists. In Pazzano it was Dante, the village cobbler who had brought us together. But with our lack of training and experience, we learned our lessons the hard way. Before Dante's death, we had received word that a high-ranking German officer was traveling to the region to take command of the German forces in Calabria. Dante saw the opportunity to cut the head off the snake. Dante had dropped me just a few streets from a church that overlooked the docks where the general was arriving that evening. It was the perfect vantage point. My first challenge was to get there. The general's arrival was just minutes away. I steadied myself before unlocking the gate. We were learning the arts of war as we went, and of the sacrifices. Each battle, every death stripped us of another part of our humanity. But what happened next would change me forever. I had reached the church, but my greatest test still lay ahead. To assassinate the general without capture, or worse. As I climbed, I struggled to push doubt from my mind, to control my breathing, to remember all I had learned. One bullet. One bullet can change the course of a war. A moving target at this range, it would require all my skill. I gambled that he would stop at the guard point. The general was dead, but my lack of focus had cost me dear. The Germans surged towards the church, intent on taking their revenge for their fallen leader. I had no choice but to stand and fight. Even from a distance, I saw the relief on Dante's face. He had been about to leave, fearing the worst. If I relied on it too much, my luck would fail me one day. As we sped away, little did we suspect that days later, the Germans would launch a reprisal attack on Pazzano that would claim Dante's life and those of countless partisans and villagers. It was I who had made the kill. But it was they who paid the price for that officer's death. How had the Germans known it was us?